The next sample that I'm going to do is to use a swing needle or a zigzag foot, sorry. So a zigzag stitch foot or a swing needle foot to applique, so attach a simple curved shape to a base fabric using satin stitch. Now, usually with applique, you put some Bondo web underneath the pieces that you're sticking down, and that has a fabric glue on each side. So not only does it stiffen your pieces, it also allows them to be stuck on in place, ready for you to sew, so things don't move. However, I've misplaced my Bondo web, so I would advise you to use Bondo web because it makes it easier. You don't have to use pins, nothing moves. But I'm just gonna go for it without, just in case anybody hasn't got any as well and you can see. So I'm gonna anchor my shape down with a couple of pins. It might be that I have to move the pins around, and I'm gonna change my setting because I want a satin stitch. So a satin stitch is a zigzag stitch that's very close together. So I'm gonna bring my stitch right down, not to 0, because if it's on 0 it's not going to move, but closer to 0 than it is to 1, and I'm going to change it to a zigzag stitch. And first of all, before I start my applique, I'm going to run through a bit of fabric to work out if I've got the right width. So I've got a nice contrasting colour on, and so I'm going to run. It wasn't very happy with that. So no, you're not going to run that. So I'm just going to rethread my sewing machine and try again. So first of all, I'm going to try running a bit of fabric through to see if I've got the right width. I'm just running it by hand first so I can see. So with a zigzag foot, it allows the closeness of the zigzag to run underneath the foot, so it shouldn't get caught up. I'm just adjusting the width and the length so I get a stitch that's very close together. So if I take off my you can see there, so I started off where my thumb is and then worked my way across. So this might be just a little bit wide, so I'm just going to drop the width down and just have one more go to see if I'm happy with it. So just take it up a little bit more. So the idea of the satin stitch is that it gives a really nice edge. I like that. So it gives a really nice edge along the shapes that you are stitching on. So I know what settings I'm using. So let me just, I pinned my applique piece in place. So I'm just going to put that stitch to it, and I don't know if it's going to be better with the wider. So I'm going to go for the wider after all, after looking at the shape. And so I'm going to line up my piece that I want to applique, and the middle of the foot. The middle of the foot is going on the middle, on the edge, the raw edge of the fabric, because I want that bit to be covered up with the zigzag stitch. So again, I'm just going by hand to make sure I've got it in the right place and that I'm happy with it. So it is quite a slow stitch because the zigzag is so close together. So I'm just going to take my time and I'm going to work around the shape, and hopefully it'll be nice and neat. It's going so fast, it's catching my eyes out, so just be aware of that. I'm just going to take that pin out. I've just gone all the way around the curve, and I'm going to keep my needle in the fabric and rotate my fabric around so it should crisscross over the stitching that's already there and work way back down to the start stitch. And then I'm back to the beginning. Cut my threads. And I've got a nice appliqued piece there. So I was going to add on some other pieces. So the information from the unit says that you need to use the zigzag foot to applique a simple curved shape to a base fabric. So make sure you've got a curve on the shape that you are appliquing, and you don't have to do lots of different pieces on there. If you're enjoying it, go for it. So long as you've got a simple curve shape on there, so it can be a half semicircle. If you're worried about going around a smaller curve, you can make it a deeper curve, such as this orange one that I've got. So I'm going to stitch around these ones, and what I'll do is I'll speed up the video so you can just watch me move it around the machine and then see the end result. If not, that's the sample done, and feel free to skip on to the next video. So I've stitched it on there. It moved slightly because it's not anchored down, but because I've gone over anyway, what you can do now is the bit that's left, you can then trim back to your edging. Now the scissors, the big scissors, are not really ideal for this because you can't get in. So if you've got some snips or embroidery scissors where you can get in closer, then try and do that. So I've got it on a slight angle so that I don't cut into my stitching. So that's got it a little bit closer there. So that's 2 pieces on together. So I've got one more that I'm going to put on, so you can see. I might cross them over and double them up. So that's my curved shapes there. Like I say, it would be better if you had bundle web because it'll be easier to sew. These 2 moved slightly more than this one, but I'm really happy with that result. I really like that.